soda can is a cylinder and to find that cylinder on here. Given the pictures, you can tell which one should be a soda can. Okay, so you just need to get familiar with the words. So we're going to start with a cylinder. So a cylinder's formula is volume equals big B H. So on your key for this, what does big B stand for? Nope. It says P. What's big B? Okay. Big B is the area of the base. Notice in these formulas, there's the little b in the first formula. Down at the bottom, big B starts popping up everywhere. Little b means base. Big B means area of the base. So first, we're going to find big B, capital B, off to the side. So big B, we're going to do first. What shape is your base if my shape is a cylinder? It's a circle. So I'm going to shade in my base. Now, big B is the area of the base. What is the formula? Looking at your formula sheet, what's the formula for area of a circle? Pi r squared. This is what we did on Friday, two-dimensional shapes. So first we're going to find big B, which is pi r squared. Now there are no numbers on my base, but they're right at the top. So my radius is not 8, it's 4. Because if the whole thing is 8, remember radius is half of it from middle school. So we're going to do pi 4 squared. So take a second in your calculator. Remember, we have to do exponents first. So we're going to do 4 to the power of 2, which is 16, times it by pi, press equals. So do not clear your calculator. So you get 50.3. 50.3 is big B. Leave it in your calculator like that. Okay? So leave it exactly like that. Do not press clear. So we're going to scoot that over. Now we're going to take what we just found and we're going to plug it into the volume formula. What formula? Okay, what's my big B? 50.3. 50.3. What's my height? 19. Now, this is the problem. If you clear your calculator and you type 50.3 into your calculator, your decimal is going to be off. So instead of clearing it, I'm going to leave it in my calculator and I'm going to use this whole decimal and I'm going to press times 19. If you already cleared your calculator, it's okay, but your decimal is going to be slightly off from mine. What's up? Yeah. You get the same thing, right? Yeah. 955.0 because this is 0.04. Now, if you did clear your calculator and you just want to use this decimal, this is what I'm talking about. You want to stay away from this. If I put 50.3 because that's the rounded answer and I times it by 19, it's very close, but it's technically off. So you want to use your calculator, the whole decimal. Unless you accidentally clear it, then just use your rounded that you wrote. I don't want you to have to type everything back in. But by the time you take the EOC, hopefully you're used to just leaving it in your calculator. So that way you're not rounding here, rounding here, rounding here, and then rounding in your final answer. Just round once. Not too bad. Let's try the cylinder down here. So take a second. You're going to start. We're going to jump around. We're going to use big B, which is pi r squared. Now this is still a cylinder. It's a soda can. It has just tipped over. Your base, somebody told me earlier, was 13. It's just fallen over. So you need to use 8 for your radius because 16 represents the diameter. You're going to cut it in half, which is 8. Find the area of your base first. Then you're going to use the volume formula to plug in your numbers. Because you're taking this and you're dividing by 2 because it's the radius is half of the diameter. You only have to do that if they give you the diameter. Yeah. So you take whatever you square it, and then you multiply by 5. So 4 whatever two. And then times the next equals. A lot of people forget to press equals and then they're like, answer 3.14. That's cool. And press multiply it. How does 1.1 times 13 make 2 parents?
Make sure you clear your
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, so when you find just big B, how much is big B?
7.
Good. But remember, don't clear your calculator, just keep it in your calculator. And then you're using volume equals, basically that has one extra step. You're taking big B and you're multiplying by the height. So you're taking your 201.1, la 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 la, and you're multiplying by the height, which is 13. So what's your final answer?
2,600.
Nice. If you use the rounded decimal, once again, it's going to be slightly off. So if I use the rounded decimal instead of the whole decimal, now I'm 0.3 instead of 0.8, which is technically okay. I'm not going to mark it wrong. Just try to use the whole decimal because that's more exact. So if your decimals come off slightly different, it's all right. You're just using the rounded one. Okay, let's do the next shape. How we feel so far? Not too bad? Meh. Meh. Okay, we're going to go to a prism. A prism has the same formula as a cylinder. Okay, so volume equals big B times H. So we're going to start with big B just like we did before. Big B last time was pi r squared because the base was a circle. I'm not going to use that this time because what shape is my base? It's a rectangle. So let's shade it in. And you could use that as your base. Most people have been using that, or you could use any of the sides realistically as your base. So don't get tripped up if like, because 3D shapes, you know how they mess with your eyes sometimes. If you want to use this one as your base, that's also fine. I'm going to use this one because it's closer to the bottom. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width or base times height. So of the base, what is the length of the base? 14. Now there's no other number, but what would be the width of my rectangle? 6. But that's why, like, if you use a different side, you can use different numbers. It's fine. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. So 14 times 6 is how much?
84.
Now I'm going to use my volume formula, which is big B times H. Big B is 84. And then all I have to do is multiply by the height, which is how much? 22. 1,848. So take a second, try number 1 at the bottom, try your rectangular prism down at the bottom. They're not too bad. What do we have for number 1?
1,260.
Good, 1,260. Okay. I would use 5 and 14 for big B, and then you're multiplying by 18, which is the overall height of the shape. So it shouldn't be too bad yet. Now we're going to change it slightly. Okay, so the formula changes for the next two shapes. So if you notice the first two shapes, prism and cylinders, these are whole shapes. So that's why there is no fraction involved. A cone and a pyramid are the same formula. We still have big B and H, but now there's a 1/3. The 1/3, you don't really need to know this, but somebody first period was like tripping and they were like, where does the 1/3 even come from? The reason why is because these two are technically the same shape. If I were to extend this into an actual cylinder, like this, okay, but it's missing this piece, and it's also missing this piece. So it's 1/3 of a regular cylinder. Same thing with this. If I were to extend this into like a thing, like you know what I mean? It's not two, but it's there, okay? The missing is because 2/3 of it is missing. So it's the same formula, but we're gonna multiply by 1/3 in the end. Because we don't have the whole thing. So anytime it comes to a point, whether it's an ice cream cone or an Egyptian pyramid, anytime it comes to the point, we have 1/3 inside the formula. So let's start with our cone. Our cone, we're still gonna start with finding big B. Big B is what shape for a cone?
Circle.
It's circle. So am I gonna use length times width? No, what am I gonna use? Good. Pi r squared, because that's area of a circle. You do not need to remember these formulas. They are on your blue sheet. So area of a circle is on there. The volume formula is on there. You just have to like know which ones you're using. So looking at the circle, is my radius 9?
No.
Now, what's it going to be? What is it?
4.5.
4.5, 4.5. So we have pi 4.5 to the power of 2. Take a second, do your exponents first, just like we did on Friday. Remember, you don't really want to round that. You want to keep it in your calculator. You're going to multiply by pi. So rounded for like what I'm writing is like 63.6. But don't clear your calculator. You have to do 4.5 squared first. Your calculator does not know PEMDAS, so you have to do the exponent first and then multiply it. If you do pi times 4.5 and then square it, it's multiplied those numbers and now it's squaring that new number. You have to square the small number first and then multiply. Okay. So now we're going to use our volume formula. Volume is 1/3 big BH. I found big B, so I'm plugging in big B and I'm plugging in my heights. So the height is 20. So in my calculator, I still have this whole thing. It does not matter what order you multiply them in because you're multiplying them. If I do 1 times 2 times 3, it's going to give me the same answer as 3 times 2 times 1. So do you want to multiply by the fraction first or do you want to multiply by the 20? 20. I'll do the 20. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same. So I'm going to multiply this by 20. And now I'm taking this whole thing. You don't even have to write it down. I'm multiplying by 1/3 using the fraction button that we used on Friday. So times 1, ABC, 3. So there's my fraction. So you should get something crazy like this. The 0.1. It's getting smaller because it's 1/3 of the shape. So if you use the decimal, the rounded one, 63.6, and I multiply by 20, and then I multiply by 1/3, you get something very close. This is actually nicer. You get 424, but technically 424.1 is more exact.
I got 424 and get 424.
That's because you used this decimal instead of keeping the long decimal in your calculator, which is fine. You're saying you got this right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, try number 3 down at the bottom. Try your cone. You're going to have to take your diameter and cut it in half first. Your radius is not 17.6. Oh, you're smart. You probably figured out that one, right? So when you're doing. You, I think, you 8.8. So keep that like in your calculator and then multiply by 9. So each time you basically never try to much more on the your dice until you're done. So you should be using 8.8 as your radius. That's so serious. We're doing this. Because it doesn't have the person. It has no name, which is different.
You tell me some that.
So you should be using 8.8. Did anybody get the answer to this one? That's all right. Oh, is that that's the big B? Yeah, okay, big B is correct. I thought you meant like the final answer. 200 to what? 15.6. Okay,
Yeah, I got that.
right? No, that's not.
243.
243. Okay, so for big B, you should use 8.8 squared times pi is 243.3. So if your big B is wrong, everything else is wrong, okay? Then you're taking that and you're doing 1/3 to 200, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then you're multiplying by 23.4, which this is really ugly because I just swished it in there.
1,397.6.
Solve your partner if they need. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do is the pyramid. The pyramid is the same formula, 1/3 because it comes to that point. So anytime you got this point, it's gonna come. It adds 1/3 in it. Big B times H. So let's start by finding big B. Shade in your base. What formula do I need for big B?
Length times width.
Length times width. To find the area of a square or a rectangle, you can think base times height or length times width, whichever one your brain goes to. I always think length times width. I'm not really sure why, but whatever. So however you were taught in elementary school. So what two numbers am I using? 18 and 18 because it's a square. So what is my total for big B? 324. So for volume, we're doing volume equals 1/3. Big B is 324. Vertical height goes straight up from the ground. How much is my vertical height? Well, so take a second. I know the fractions are weird. You got to practice plugging this into your calculator. I always like to multiply the numbers first. So 324 times 12. I don't really care what you do, but I always save the fractions for last for some reason. 1,296. Okay. Okay. At the bottom, we are not we're not gonna do this problem today. We're gonna save it for tomorrow. Can anybody tell me what's different between this one? Ooh, we have a lot of people that didn't notice. Tom,
The line, so if the dotted line is on the other side.
good. So the dashed line, if you look, this is not the height. That's, yes, because it's at an angle. It's a slant height. We're not going to do it today. We're going to save this problem for tomorrow. So skip it for now. Okay. You don't have to do this later. We're going to do this one tomorrow. Let's go to our last shape. So the last shape is a sphere. This doesn't have a big B.
Oh.
No. Why?
Because the sphere doesn't have a base.
It doesn't have a base. If you're talking about a soccer ball, its base is technically a single point. So there is no big B because there is no base to find the area of. Okay. So we just have to plug in the numbers to this formula and just solve, which is very nice. We don't have to use like two formulas. The only thing that's ugly that people get tripped up on is that the power is a 3 and not a 2 anymore. It is cubic. So for my radius, it's 19. Why do I not split this one in half? It is only going to the middle. So the middle out represents the radius. If I went all the way, I would need to cut it in half. But because it's halfway already, 19 is what I'm using. This number, your final answer is massive. So don't be scared. So, do we know how to put cube in our calculator? Okay, I'm gonna show you. There are 2 buttons you can use. Yes. Yes. You can use 2 buttons. Most people I've realized you use the XY button. So we're gonna do clear. We're gonna do 19 to the power. XY is like any exponent. So you may have used this in middle school. 6,859. There's also another button that you may know. Above the arrow is an X cubed button. So you have to press shift to use it. I usually use the XY button, but there is also the X cubed button right there. You just have to press shift first. It is a massive number because your radius. Now we're like so excited for math. Having a great time. That's because you're taking 19, you're cubing it, then you're multiplying it by 3, and then you're multiplying it by 4/3, which is bigger than 1. It's never getting smaller. So this number is massive. Yes, 28,000. Yes, you are. Yep. 28,730.9. So the last one we're going to do on the front is number 4. Now, number 4 is the same problem, but it looks a little weird. It's cut in half. So in the end, for number 4, since it's cut in half, what are you going to have to do with your answer? Divide by 2, because you're cutting it in half. So try number 4 down at the bottom. It is just like a sphere. It's called a hemisphere, which is half of a sphere. So try this one using 4/3 pi r cubed. In the end, you will divide at the very end.
Yeah.
28,000. Is that what you got? Oh. So yours is nice, and that's why it's not allowed, because if you do 19 and you have to take it to the power of 3, you press this little button, and it says like a little, I call it a carrot, and then 3, and then, so that's, okay, thank you. So you can use any exponents.
And what's
Okay, so now times by pi.
Oh. No, yeah.
So you have to divide your diameter by 2. You are not using 15.6.
Oh, I got it.
You are not using 15.6 for number 4.
Oh, I know.
Well, you do. But also your radius that you have to divide by 2 because this, you need half of it. Did it give you a fraction? Oh, so if that ever happens, you can press this, I'm pretty sure, and it should switch it.
7.1.
Okay.
So.
One divided by 2. I got
Okay.
1,000.
If it happens again, sorry.
I got
Did you not check your answers when we were going over?
Was it supposed to?
Yeah, we were doing them. I wrote all the.
No, I mean, this one.
Oh, that one? Yeah. Yeah. What's the answer? I don't know.
1,087.
Yeah. Yeah. So your decimal for your radius is 7.8. You should not be using 15.6. Oh, I think technically you're wrong.
He said like 20 or something.
Okay. I'm glad that you had to like talk about math, but also like I want to get through this so that way you guys can like work on your homework. Okay, 7.8 cubed gives you like 474.6-ish. You're multiplying by pi, and then you're multiplying by 4/3, which gives you around 198 point or 7.8. Okay, that's not the answer. What? Divide by 2 because it's not a whole sphere. It's a half a sphere. So 993.9. Okay. It's like it's I don't have the whole thing here. Wait, let me just show you.
I got 990.
Okay, this is what you get. This is what you get whenever this is like your exact answer. So if I round it and then I write it down, if I divide this whole thing by 2 instead of rounding every single time, this is 993.89. So the 9 would make the 8 go up to a 9. If you just write this in your calculator, it's going to be different. I'm pretty sure. 87.8 divided by 2. No, you get the same thing. So
It's the same.
you should get 0.9 for a little.
I got 0.9,
There's a decimal.
Oh, like because it's 8, 9, so you thought like the 9 would make the 8 go up, but then there's another 9, so then it goes up to 10. Yeah, no. Just look at the 2. Okay, your homework. Be quiet. Okay. You are not doing number 2. We're doing this tomorrow. You are not doing word problems without me because I don't believe in you guys that much. Okay. So we're going to do those tomorrow together anytime. Okay. You're not going to do number 9 by yourself. We're going to do that tomorrow because it's got that slant height. Okay. So your homework for today, which you're going to upload to Canvas, you only need to take a picture of the backside, are the last 5 problems. So you have the remainder of class to work on these 5 problems. If you don't have access to Canvas, if you don't have access to Canvas for some reason, whether you don't have a computer, you don't have a phone, you don't have a login information, I'm going to come around right now and check your assignment from yesterday. Okay.
I do have Canvas.
Well, then do it.
I'll do it. Wait, can you upload 2 pictures or only?
Yes. So for Fridays, you're going to upload both. So I'm going to come around in just a second.